what Louis does in his organization. But here's what we need to be careful of. You don't want to just cut and run and find out that these projects are no longer affordable housing. Because when a private sector entity takes it over, they need to make a profit. To make a profit, you need to do one of two things. Either become more efficient or you charge more. If you charge more, it's not affordable. So I'm hoping there's greater efficiency, but you can't stop working with the providers. And yes, I do think, again, another example, the state and county working together. We both have housing departments. Why? Just like I asked, why do we both have road repaving departments, the state and the city? Do you guys know if this road out here is a state or county road? Anyone know? I don't know, by the way. But I'll tell you this much, all you care about that is paved, right? No potholes and paved every 7 years. It's probably a good time. If you do slurry seal, you get 10 years. You don't care. Why doesn't one of our entities take over that responsibility? The other one saves the money and takes on another responsibility that the state doesn't do. Maybe the state does all roads, we do all parks. Maybe the state does housing and we take over small boat harbors. The point is instead of duplicating service, let's work more like a partner, these two different entities, the state and the county, and do a better job. And I think that's something I would look at and address your concern. I think the state and the county should work together more on housing, affordable housing for people. Another question? Something, they said, don't forget to mention my wife. I always forget. Not that I don't forget her. I mean, and she makes sure I remember that she's there. She's one tough lady. My wife is a woman named Donna Tanoia. Her family owned a Tanoi Simon stand in Wailea Avenue, if any of you remember, in Kaimuki. They had great shito and really good meat sticks. Her father was the first board-certified surgeon of Japanese ancestry in the state of Hawaii. Came back, couldn't get a job because he's Japanese in any of the major clinics. He had to open his own office, and one of the very first men who walked into his office is guess who? A guy by the name of John. Who said Burns? Did someone say Burns over there? John Burns. And my father-in-law became his physician for the rest of his life. I mean, that speaks volumes about Governor Burns and how he believed in changing Hawaii, not just with talking, but through action. Working with the guys from the 442nd, bringing about a revolution that made Hawaii much more equal and accessible for everyone. So my wife could succeed, and that's what I'm getting at. My wife is third-generation Japanese. Her family owned a Simon stand. That Simon stand put my father-in-law through school. My father-in-law, as a result, made enough money to support his family. My wife, proud graduate of public school her entire life until Georgetown Law School, became the bank commissioner for the state of Hawaii under Governor Ariyoshi in the 1980s when we had all these S&L crises. And she did such a good job, and I'm so proud of her, that Bill Clinton then asked her to become the bank commissioner for the United States of America when he became president. She was chairman of the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. They regulate about 8,000 banks in our country. We went to Washington, D.C. I went with her. I continue to work for my law firm out of our house and help raise our daughter. We have one daughter, Maya, who's going to graduate in less than a month now and go off to college. We only had one. Now I wish we had more than one, because I'm getting very sad that she's going to be leaving. But I was so proud when I went to Washington, because I snuck in. She told me, don't come to my first hearing, you'll make me nervous. I snuck into the back of the room. It was before the Senate Banking Committee. On one side of her was Arthur Levitt, who was then the head of the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, a very patrician-looking guy in a pinstripe suit, a banker from Manhattan, from Wall Street. On the other side was Alan Greenspan, you know, then the head of the Fed. And who is in between them? My wife, Donna Tanoia. Third generation from the plantation. That says a lot about Hawaii. It says a lot about those who went before us to help her become who she is. And it says a lot about our country, that there is opportunity for a Japanese American woman to rise to that level. And those senators didn't know how to say her name. They called her Tankwe, Tanoi, Tinoi. But you know, after 4 years, they knew her name and knew how to say it right. And I'm proud. So that's my wife, Donna Tanoia. She's vice chair at Bank of Hawaii now. And aloha. Eliza, we'll see you again, right?
God bless you, and I hope you win. I'll be praying.
Thank you. God bless you too. Be safe. You want to? Okay. You want to grab more food to take home?
I didn't finish my salad. They're going to throw me out again.
Okay. Come back. Travel safe. Thanks, Eliza.
So much, and God bless you.
God bless too. So that's a little bit about my history. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I have a brother who lives in Hilo still. I have a sister who's a nurse at Queens. And I have a sister who lives on the mainland and one in Australia. My parents have passed away. Their ashes are spread at South Point because we used to go down there to fish, camp, look for glass balls. And my parents loved it. So when they both passed away, they said, we want to be there. So South Point is my church. When I go down there to fish, I also say hello to my father and mother. And to a lot of other Hawaiians who are buried down there from generations, from centuries ago. It's a very powerful place for me. So that's it. I've talked to, till 8. I'm going to stick around. I want to say thank you to all of you for coming tonight. And I want to make a personal plea. I can win this thing. I almost won. I came within 2 percentage points. I had 60 days from when Mufi stepped down to run for mayor. I almost made it, but as Vince Lombardi said, you didn't lose the game, you just ran out of time. I ran out of time. I've started earlier. We're doing really good, but I can't win without you. Absolutely cannot. I need to earn your vote, and that's what tonight is about. Telling you a little bit about me, but also listening to your concerns, so we can factor that in to as I run and as I lead and govern with all of you. So I'd be honored to receive your support.